Crypto falling, plummeting, but it is the setup for opportunity. What is up, everyone? Welcome to Crypto Capital Venture. Thank you for coming by. I really appreciate it. Hit that subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Hit that like button on the way in. It means a lot to me as we try and get some momentum with this live stream. And turn the notifications on. YouTube, I think they're killing me with the notifications. So turn the notifications on. I appreciate everybody who is on this live stream right now. Bitcoin, Cardano down, crypto markets down. Want to talk about it. Listen, everybody, if you're new to this channel, I'm an optimist. I like to build. I like to run towards challenge and kind of build amidst challenge. That's my personality type. I think as an entrepreneur, my early days, I failed a lot. And I think that kind of just drove it home for me. And so this is my outlook on crypto, meaning when there's pain, when there's fear, when there's red, when it's down, I get very motivated. I get very optimistic. I get very energetic because it's opportunity. And what's so epic about that statement is the fact that it's true, is the fact that you could look at the charts and historically, it literally is true. The data suggests everything that I'm saying is true. The data suggests my thumbnail is true, right? You panic or plan. And there is opportunity when crypto is plummeting. Now, I say that, and I want to be fully transparent. I have no idea where the bottom is. Nobody does. Not one YouTuber knows where the bottom is, but this is why we do technical analysis. For me, it's a roadmap amidst these challenging times. It's a roadmap. It's a guide so that we can kind of navigate, so that we can stay composed, not emotional in these crazy, volatile, emotional markets. Right now, crypto is down, and people tend to kind of freak out a little bit, especially ones that are more short-term thinkers, and they're kind of trying to make that get-rich-quick type of deal. I'm not that person, everybody. That isn't this channel. I'm a long-term crypto accumulator, and I think it's really important for me to point that out. I want to start real quick. I'm going to dig into the charts, but this is a really good context to the entire video. It's a good context, especially if you're new to watching my channel, my approach to crypto. This is a comment that I got while I was preparing to go live. And this is what it says. It was in the live stream just a bit ago. Dude, I've been following you for a while, and no hate on James. And the whole time I tried to see the hope of your project, I guess. Please just stop, think, and give us the information we really need. No more hopium. I don't know, James. So I don't know what videos he's watching. I don't throw hopium. I'm long-term bullish, and if that comes off as hopium, I apologize. Maybe I should try and figure out a different way to communicate my long-term macro bullishness in crypto, in Cardano, in Bitcoin, and I'll try and do a better job of that. But I want to just say this: when we do technical analysis, I always try and give upside and downside scenarios. There's targets all over the place. I mean, when we're hitting all-time highs in crypto, we're always talking about and they're not popular videos. They're not popular talking points when I'm doing it. But we're always talking about all right, everybody, it's overbought. Get ready for downside targets. We're always talking about these things. So there's no hopium on this channel. However, I am long-term macro bullish. And to set the tone for that, to kind of illustrate this, I started this YouTube channel on this chart, on this Bitcoin chart, right around here. And this is the top of the last bull market. So I did videos pretty much every day in the last bear market, like through the whole bear market. And some of you in the chat right now might have been there with me. And so I really know what opportunity in crypto looks like. And opportunity in crypto looks like the red days, the fear days. And so that's why I want to do this. So let's talk about let's dig into technical analysis. Hit that like if you're in the live stream right now. It really means a lot to me. And let's do this. This is Bitcoin on the weekly. What is going on? First things first. And we talked about it last time. Bitcoin was approaching The 20-week moving average was approaching that blue line, the 50-week moving average. We're looking for just this very, very bearish cross, right? Which will really signal a longer term downtrend and what that looks like. And this is what happened at the beginning of the last bear market, right? Or right into the last bear market. We don't want something like that. We've been waiting for something like that. The bulls keep stepping in just at just the right time. You know, Bitcoin back here, there was the same amount of panic as there is right now. Even back here, there was a lot of panic. And now here we are again at panic. Support wise, this is where Bitcoin is on the macro. It's this swing low to swing high. Bitcoin is within a very important macro support. And this is what I'm eyeing up the most right now. And that price range is right around 44,000 down to around 37,000 or so, maybe 38,000 or so at the 786. So as we test this very important macro support, and I'm going to dig into what that looks like and what to watch for, I just want to give some perspective on the overall market. All right, I want to speak more to being long in crypto, the importance of being long in crypto. And so let me zoom out here, and you see it. There's this tweet. I have this tweet I just found back in 2017. Let me pull it up real quick. The actual tweet itself. This is Max Kaplan. Literally have no idea who this is, but it's August 7th, 2017. This was him just being like, hey, listen, a screenshot from 1 year ago. Wow, how things have changed. His screenshot shows Bitcoin at $586. This wasn't that long ago, everybody. This is 2017. It feels like yesterday, right? So here's Max Kaplan, some guy in Bitcoin and crypto, tweeting, wow, Bitcoin was just $586. And as he's tweeting that on a day where Bitcoin is right around, what is this? Right around $4,000. So he just experienced epic gains, $4,000, and he's looking back at a year ago, Bitcoin 500 some dollars. Well, now we live in a world, and hopefully Max is still in the crypto game. Hopefully he's stuck around. Now we live in a world where we're $40,000. And that is how drastically things change. This is the upward momentum of Bitcoin on the macro. And that's the story I want to be a part of. That's the story I'm invested in. It's the year after year after year growth of Bitcoin. When we're looking at, this is a weekly chart, we can zoom in all day. And of course, like this isn't fun. This isn't fun for anybody. But this is literally what has happened throughout the entire history of Bitcoin in this long-term uptrend. Look at you can just look like these weekly downtrends, bear markets and retracements and crashes and panic. And there's always something driving that. There's always some talking point driving it. Right now, the Fed raising interest rates is a big part of the story. But needless to say, we step back and we say, guess what? The technicals on the screen still remain sound, still remain reliable. And this is what I'm watching. So this is my roadmap. Now, I want to talk about, we see where support is on the macro down to this 786 line around $37,000 to $38,000. That's a support area I'm going to dig into on the daily chart. I want to talk about that. But while we're on the weekly, I want to just talk about this whole thing about plummeting towards opportunity. So I mentioned, let me get rid of Max's tweet there. I mentioned I started my YouTube channel basically at the top of the last bull market, right? And we're just doing videos every day into the bear market bottom, like just above $3,000. Bitcoin on this weekly chart is basically breaking this RSI level. And you see this green line on the slower moving momentum oscillator, this RSI. Bitcoin is breaking this level. And it's like right around 40 to 45 or so. Historically for Bitcoin, and this is as simple as it gets, like there is so much data we could cover in terms of charts, in terms of on-chain metrics. A lot of really fantastic, talented people are covering a lot of this data, right? There is so much we could track. But if you just use one tool alone, this RSI on the weekly, and pair that up with the confluence of fear in the market, this is like such a powerful tool. So this area around 45 line on the RSI, slower moving momentum oscillator, anything below this historically, and look, just to give you an idea, here's the last bear market low. Here is the previous bear market low of 2015. Let me kind of zoom out so you can see this better. Look at this. Anytime Bitcoin makes its way under that area, historically, and this isn't financial advice, everybody. This is just the data. I'm sharing it with you because this is what I see, and this is why I begin getting more comfortable with accumulation of crypto when I see Bitcoin getting into this area. It's approaching that area. When I say in the title, it's plummeting towards opportunity, people are feeling the pain. People aren't liking the downtrend that crypto is in right now. So they're probably not liking my optimism, I'm sure. But to everybody that is out there and that's kind of feeling the same way, that's thinking the same way, this is the accumulation zone, the exact accumulation zone that we were talking about in the bear market bottom. Now, notice this is weeks and weeks and weeks. Bitcoin kind of was in a very strange, deep dip of a place, right? So we could experience something similar over the coming weeks and months. However, that was an amazing opportunity of accumulation for Bitcoin. And so when I'm analyzing, hey, what do I want to do in the crypto markets? I am taking that data and I'm running with it, everybody. I'm taking my whole thought process of liking to build amidst challenge and to build amidst a, a market of fear. I'm taking all of that and I'm pairing it up with this data as Bitcoin enters this oversold range that we see in the bottom of bear markets. And I'm running with it, everybody. What that looks like for me is different than what it would look like for you. You have to make those decisions for yourself. But Bitcoin has cooled off a lot from being overbought. And the same thing happened from the last bull market high to that bear market low. Cycles are changing, right? These market cycles will probably never look the same, right? We can't just, for instance, let's take the bar pattern from the last bull market high to the bear market low. We can't just take that and be like, hey, this is exactly how Bitcoin's going to play out. Could it? Yeah, it could, but it's probably not going to play out that way. So what we do, instead of just using charts alone, is we use these momentum oscillators and we use the fear in the market and we look at what's going on across all financial markets and we make our decisions accordingly based on that data. At least that's what I do. So on the weekly, Bitcoin is testing a macro support area that we looked at, but it's not clickbait. It truly is plummeting towards an accumulation area, at least for me. And when I say accumulation area, I don't just mean Bitcoin. Bitcoin data is serving my purpose of just the general crypto markets, right? So accumulation for me means probably a lot of altcoins, right? And even Cardano. Bitcoin, now if we dig into the daily chart, and by the way, here's the 786 line on the macro that we just looked at, the support area that we do want to be aware of. It's right around that $37,500 to $38,000 area. If we go to the daily chart, here's that line. This is that line right there. That red line is a support area I'm watching for Bitcoin. So what we've been watching on Bitcoin is this head and shoulders, right? And we see the neckline broken. We were talking about this for a while. I think I don't remember exact date, but it was sometime in December back here. We were talking about the potential for this right shoulder setup, and it truly did form. There was a lot of weak bulls over this course of these weeks right here on the chart. Sideways trading. Bulls didn't step in, didn't even give us a very nice right shoulder. It's pretty ugly. It's pretty weak. Fell right to the neckline, broke the neckline. Now, in terms of this neckline break, what I'm looking for is this. I take data on this. And the reason I take data is because I don't want to get emotional. I want to stay composed. I just want to track the charts and then make my decisions based on the charts. So I used Bulkowski, the patternsite.com, on all of these patterns. It's just proved so stinking consistent. And so that's why I use his data. He has a pullback rate on head and shoulders of 68%. When this happens, do not know. But we got to break out of the neckline. A pullback would be just a pullback to the neckline to, at the very least, test it, maybe break above it. And then we start maybe looking for support above that neckline. This 786 area that we just looked at on the macro, remember, Bitcoin in this very important Fibonacci support area, this channel right here, the 786 line could prove to be a bounce area for Bitcoin. And the reason that is just because that 786 support is there, but at the same time, you can see Bitcoin on the daily chart has approached oversold area. So historically on this daily chart, Bitcoin very well could get a bounce at this point, right? Meaning when we're in overbought, Bitcoin very well can start dipping, which it did. Well, now we're in oversold, and Bitcoin could very much get a bounce to the upside. Now, that could be the story that plays out on this head and shoulders of that pullback, that 68% pullback rate. This could be what fuels that pullback, right? It could be a 786 bounce as Bitcoin is oversold on the daily chart. Hopefully that all makes sense. I appreciate all of you guys coming through on this live stream. We're going to pivot over to Cardano. Hit the like button, everybody. Appreciate you. I'm packing, everybody. We're getting ready to move next week, and it's just like, I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted. But you know what's not exhausted? It's Cardano. It's Cardano ecosystem. This is what Cardano is looking like. I don't even want to start with the charts. I want to start with this, a reminder of what is being built on Cardano right now. A lot of people call it a ghost chain. A lot of people say nothing's happening. And all I see is, again, opportunity. And it's just been the same story for me. And I continue to see opportunity. There's so much to be said for the ecosystem that is building right now on Cardano and the projects that are getting ready to launch and the altcoin opportunities that are just out there that I've already started accumulating, that I've started covering on this channel. They're so ignored. It's crazy to me. They're just sleeping opportunities. And I think they'll wake up, especially when markets start cruising back to the upside again, which I think they will. So if you're new to the stream, everybody, real quick, plummeting towards opportunity, this is what it looks like. It's not hopium. This is data on the charts. This is my approach to crypto. When crypto is bleeding, when it's red, when it's down, when there's fear, that is where there's opportunity in my experience. And you can see Cardano doing something very similar to Bitcoin. Here is this area on the Cardano weekly RSI, this momentum oscillator. Cardano testing this 35 area on this oscillator, historically never really even trading below that. If we're looking for an accumulation area for Cardano, and things could get ugly, everybody. We're talking sub $1 could very, very well happen at this point for Cardano. There's no doubt about it. But in my view, and again, I realize some people don't like that. I really do. But this Cardano is one of the most bullish cryptos. And only time will tell, right? Like, as I cover Cardano a lot, some people call it Cardano Capital Venture. It is what it is. But there's a reason I cover it so much. And so I'm really interested in how this will play out. But Cardano really approaching the weekly oversold area at levels potentially lower than it's ever been. And as this ecosystem gets ready to explode with all of these new projects, and 2022 being the year of governance and scalability for Cardano, you know, as we kind of were in the Goguen era, getting ready to implement that Basho era, right, of scalability, and Voltaire with governance. As these things get ready to happen, Cardano is going to continue to prove itself to the markets, to the crypto markets, as many people are ignoring it. Probably because many people are more interested in Ethereum and more long and invested in Ethereum. And that's fine. That's probably why they're ignoring it, though. Why talk about Cardano when they're very, very much invested in something like Ethereum? And that's cool. That's kind of how the markets work, especially from a market sentiment perspective. But Cardano, not financial advice, but very, very much approaching accumulation areas. There could be capitulation. Let's start looking at what that looks like, what to be prepared for. This is probably the biggest thing on the daily chart to pay attention to. There has been, since like last February, almost a year, this lower trend line Cardano has just bounced off of over and over and over and over again, recently testing it a lot. And you can see on this daily chart, it's not, from a technical analysis perspective, it's not the prettiest thing. In my view, after months of just this downtrend, I feel like for me, the worst is over, right? Like in uptrends, we were enjoying these all-time highs. The worst is always just that first huge dip to the downside. It's like, oh man, is the party over, right? Especially as we're in overbought territory on Cardano. It's like that whole thing of, is the party over? This is going to be annoying to track this now, to track structure, to track how deep this dip goes. That's the worst part for me, I think. And so as we've just consolidated all the way down, and we've gotten used to just people being very bearish in crypto right now. Now I'm just kind of like, all right, Cardano on the weekly, it is approaching oversold, right? It's time to start really thinking about the heavy accumulation areas for me and what that looks like. And this is what it looks like for me, I guess. If we're looking at this daily chart, I have this. We have a 50-cent target in play. If markets somehow get a turnaround, and seriously, this is the most amazing thing of crypto to me. When I'm doing these videos and we're just talking about downside because there's so much fear and it's really all people want to talk about, the bulls just boom all of a sudden, right? And we're back in play with some bullish breakout. So we want to be ready for that because it's 100% in play, but we also want to be continually prepared for downside. We were talking about, if you remember, we had targets to the 120 area. All the way back here, we were tracking like the falling wedge back here, targets to the 120 area. We were talking about that downside. It unfortunately hit. Cardano did keep going to that area, but we've been seeing support and now we're starting to fall again. It's time to start talking about lower targets, unfortunately. But fortunately, for people that want to accumulate some crypto, this is in play. It's a 50-cent target to the downside, and it's something you want to be prepared for. If we go to the 6-hour chart, what I'd be watching for is this lower trend line, a revisit to this lower trend line, especially as Cardano, if you can go to the daily chart real quick. Cardano, let me open up the momentum oscillator. Cardano approaching kind of a higher low on this momentum oscillator. There is kind of this case where if Bitcoin out of its oversold area, and let me try and, so higher low area on this momentum oscillator, Bitcoin's in its own oversold area. If Bitcoin gets its bounce, there could be a very big case for Cardano putting in a higher low on the momentum oscillator, getting a swing to the upside, testing once again this lower trend line, very important lower trend line that we were just talking about. And here's what the lower trend line looks like on the 6-hour. In terms of the pattern that I have showing here, again, a lot of people don't agree with my patterns. I see what I see on the screen and I chart it how I see it, right? So I see a very large symmetrical triangle in play, especially with these multiple touches at this lower trend line with a break to the downside. Not many touches to the upside, obviously, but I see the symmetrical triangle. And for symmetrical triangles, we look at pullback rates of 65%. So there could very well be a pullback to this lower trend line. Don't know if it's sooner or later, but that's what I'd be watching on Cardano. The one thing to note on Cardano is all of these moving averages on the daily chart. Currently, the 200-day moving average, the 50 moving average, the 20-day moving average, Cardano just below all of them. So we're really looking for a turnaround, something similar to what happened in July, where we're just starting to at the very least, begin getting back above those. But be prepared for capitulation, because if that doesn't happen, capitulation is very well what we could see, especially with these markets. Every time, doesn't matter if there's support, if there's no support, when you think the worst is over is usually when that capitulation just hits the market out of nowhere. People really start freaking out. So that's kind of something I'm anticipating. These are the targets I'm anticipating. I will say this, my heavy accumulation for Cardano, probably closer to somewhere below $1 in this $1 to 50-cent range. That's, for me, just ridiculously cheap Cardano. It just is. If we get even into that range, I'll be very surprised. I haven't thought we would get there. I know it's a possibility, but Cardano's doing what it's doing, which is retracing. But this is the longer term story being told on Cardano. Everybody, I'm a long-term thinker. And if you're here for just quick crypto gains, you're really not going to like my content, because I don't talk about quick crypto gains. This isn't get rich quick, everybody. I learned that lesson years and years and years ago as an entrepreneur. Making money and succeeding takes time. It takes work. It takes diligence and consistency. So I'm telling you, as crypto markets begin approaching the oversold area, and here's Cardano approaching this oversold area, levels that it hasn't been. Here's Bitcoin on the weekly approaching oversold areas. We're talking about bear market territory areas on the momentum oscillator. As that is happening, we're not seeing this crazy engagement on crypto. People, these new retail investors buying into crypto, just FOMOing in, right? Instead, we're actually seeing them very negative. And I get a firsthand look at it. It's a market sentiment thing. I have so many comments I can just tell newbie investors that they're the ones buying the all-time highs And right now they're angry and they're not happy. And I'm telling you, even if you're one of those persons, even if you're one of those people, it's okay, right? I've bought the top before. It's okay, right? But I'm telling you, learn to leave emotion out of it. And when there's fear, when there's red, it's a way better time to explore the potential of accumulating crypto. Not when just things are popping off all-time highs, overbought. It's when things are red. So we're going to continue tracking Bitcoin and Cardano and other cryptos. But right now in Bitcoin, I think this is a really important area. It's a macro swing high back here, or I'm sorry, swing low to swing high, back down to a Fibonacci, the 618 to the 786. And that 786 right now, as Bitcoin is in that Fibonacci support, that 786 right around 37,800-ish. So that's the support I'm watching on. I get a lot of people think Bitcoin's cruising down to new lows. There's a target on Bitcoin too, to the downside. We already talked about it, I think, in the last Bitcoin video, slightly below $30,000, right? It's a head and shoulders target. But are we going to get a 786 bounce pullback to the neckline to retest? Can the bulls step in? They very well could. And that's something that I'll be tracking for Bitcoin, for Cardano. Those are my thoughts, everybody. I appreciate you coming by. Hit the like button for me. I need the likes. I'm not enjoying the dip either, everybody. I really am not. Like, I don't enjoy dips. You think I like doing live streams as crypto is falling? I don't. I love it. I like this comment. You don't sell when it's red, you buy. You don't sell when it's red, you buy. And that's not financial advice, everybody. It's really not financial advice. I don't want to sit here and be like, everybody, we're approaching oversold at crazy accumulation territories. In my view, go out and buy. Like, that's not the purpose of my channel. However, I think from not only just a crypto perspective, but a life perspective, just what Phil is saying, you don't sell when it's red, you buy. It's the same thing for life. You don't give up when it's red, you go harder, right? Meaning you don't give up when things get tough, you go harder. You think smarter. You approach things differently. You don't run away from it. You don't bail on it. And that's the same exact concept to the charts. And it's the same exact story being told on the charts. And it's crazy to be able to watch this. It's crazy to be able to experience this. Someone says, flash sale, get it. So we definitely have like a lot of, I know there's a lot of bulls out there. I really feel like there's a lot of just more silent investors out there that are really approaching these markets kind of in the same way that I am, which is a macro view, which is like, it's just kind of this zoom out on the charts and really look at what's going on. Look at a Bitcoin chart, everybody. And this is why I'm not throwing hopium, but this is why I'm so optimistic all the time. Like, this dip right here is literally, it's no different than any other dip that we see on these charts. And maybe this dip does lead to just capitulation and months and months of downtrend, similar to the last bear market. Maybe something similar does happen like that, right? And man, Bitcoin really falls, right? And we're like testing the 20,000s. Maybe that happens. But I'm telling you, that doesn't even faze me as I'm zoomed down on this chart, because even then, if Bitcoin fell to this area, right, on this chart, we're talking about the 200 week moving average. Bitcoin falls to that area, same area it was at in the last bear market bottom. Bitcoin falls to that area. Still, look at this chart. Do you know how many whales are going to be accumulating? Do you know how many whales are going to be accumulating? This was a tweet from earlier. 3 of the largest Bitcoin whales acquired 225 million worth of Bitcoin from today's dip. And here's an article from today. Bitcoin whales increasingly buy the dip despite Bitcoin on the verge of sinking below 40,000. What does this headline say? This headline says Bitcoin whales literally don't care about even Bitcoin where it is now, and they don't care about Bitcoin falling below 40,000. And why is that? Because when they look at this chart, I think they see the same thing a lot of us see, and it's an uptrend of Bitcoin. It's a need for Bitcoin. It's a need for cryptocurrency. And on top of Bitcoin, there's a ton of other altcoins where there's going to be probably even stronger opportunity, most likely stronger opportunity. I mean, if you look at 2021 and the way in which Bitcoin compared to pretty much like most altcoins, Bitcoin way underperformed altcoin gains, right? So having that diversified portfolio, for me, Cardano is a big piece of that. Obviously, I cover Cardano all the time, but Cardano altcoins, Cardano ecosystem altcoin, Ethereum ecosystem altcoin, same thing, everybody. I mean, there's so much opportunity there with all of these different altcoins in this market, and we're approaching oversold. I'm not going to keep repeating myself, but those are my thoughts. I'm done. Time for me to go do some other things today. I have a lot going on. I hope you all are having a really good Saturday, good weekend. This is crypto. Step outside, take a deep breath, go get some fresh air. It's just crypto. Look at the data, look at the charts, plan accordingly, and just step away and enjoy life. God is good. Life is good, everybody. And that is what matters. So zoom